BlizzCon 2021 is drawing to a close, and we certainly have some interesting takeaways for World of Warcraft. Is it too early? And Blizzard is a little stuck with what the hell to do with all these systems. Let's get into it, guys. BlizzCon 2021 was interesting. Of course, they had to do it online because of the pandemic, and we did get leaked, unfortunately, which put a definite sting in the way World of Warcraft fans who had seen the leaks responded to BlizzCon, because, of course, BlizzCon announced everything, literally everything, that we had already seen a couple of days before, which is a big shame. And a reminder here, because some people are confused, this was a leak done by Blizzard themselves. They accidentally leaked the media kits the day early, so we did see quite literally everything Blizzard had to talk about in terms of World of Warcraft, and a lot of people were left thinking, I already knew that. Well, yeah, I actually think in Blizzard's defense, their announcements were very good. The new raid looks fantastic. It's also great to see that they're changing the idea of the Maw. It hasn't worked, and they're fully capable of saying, yep, that's not worked. Let's do something a little bit more traditional, which is what we're going to see with Korthia. Now, in good news, because this was a point of speculation for both me and Finn, they have confirmed now in the Q&As that happened after the World of Warcraft announcements, they're going to just be altering the current Maw, because that did lead us to questions. If Korthia was to be a separate zone, like we saw with Argus, then what the hell is the old Maw for? We have had it confirmed that Stygia is not relevant anymore as soon as patch 9.1 lands. They're going to just basically terraform and alter sections of the Maw as the Jailer brings things in, and they have promised that they're going to use it as a fun playground. So I would expect to see something more akin to the Timeless Isle, more akin to the Firelands, more akin to the Shattered Sun Offensive, things like that, that they're just going to drag in and let people play around with it. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. The Maw has been met universally, I would say universally, but I can't speak for everybody, with a bit of disdain, not being particularly fun, so they're just going to change it. And I applaud Blizzard for that, because we're not in a Warfront situation where like, you will like this, or an island scenario. It's like, we're going to make it work because we had the vision and you're just not seeing our vision. All that kind of nonsense. That's not what's going to happen. I was also really happy to see that wasn't in the leak is that Torghast is going to get some renovation. It is going to happen. What was curious is during the Blizzard broadcast itself of BlizzCon, they did not mention the name of the new 8-boss mythic mega dungeon as Tazavesh. They have confirmed that now in post-interviews, but you have to wonder when they recorded this stuff whether they even had the name of the dungeon confirmed or not, because they never shown it. Let's move on to that then. So one big takeaway of the few I have to talk about here is that this is really, really far off. This patch is a long way away. I would expect towards August before we actually see anything, and some people are a little disturbed by that. But this was really, really early concept stuff that we heard about here. They have what they're going to build in terms of the raid. They know they're going to be doing Korthia. They know they're doing a new mythic mega dungeon. The details, and this reminded me very much of when Shadowlands itself was announced, the details and the nitty-gritty, they just don't have it yet. And I'm seeing a lot of people hungry for answers as to how this stuff's going to work. They don't know themselves. They're still trying to figure it out. They knew they were going to get that feedback. That was pretty clear. And they tried to shift it towards, well, we're looking for player feedback here. And that's going to be another point we're talking about shortly. They really are trying to figure this stuff out. We didn't even get a raid fly-through. That's how early on we are. In nearly every presentation of what's coming up next, what's going to be happening, we do get some sort of visual fly-through of the zone, like a look at Korthia, just a few screenshots, or just a little small flyover of the area, and we usually get that with the raid as well. We didn't even get those things, and we didn't get anything for the new Mega Dungeon either, so work in progress is definitely the key here. 9.0.5 is not even out yet. That's on the PTR right now, but we're still in the mid-patch area, let alone what's coming with the next major content patch. So that's this. I would imagine internally they really didn't probably want to talk about anything to do with what's coming in Shadowlands at this point, as it was so damn early, and people are going to be like, well, when's the new raid? Because historically, when Blizzard has announced the next raid, people kind of take that in some weird ways. The current tier is dead and it's over, because we know the new one's coming. Which isn't the case. Certainly not in this case. It's a long way away. We did get confirmed as well that we are going to be seeing some cool bosses. Kel'Thuzad was added to the list of what's going to be in the Sanctum of Domination, which is our brand new raid, along with the Taragru, the Eye of the Jailer with links to the Eye of Odin. Some research I had to do after that because I was not sure how the Eye of Odin worked. And of course, Sylvanas Windrunner, her redemption story unquestionably is coming. I'll be super surprised if we kill Sylvanas. It's highly doubtful in the second batch of the Shadowlands we kill Sylvanas. And plus, she is a mega cash cow for Blizzard. Her acting, her cutscenes, everything they want to keep, I have no doubt. So that's not going to be happening there. So the big takeaway is, of course, this is a long way away. This is going to be something that's ongoing. But on the back of that was the second big takeaway that I took from BlizzCon Online is Blizzard is really just has no idea what the hell to do with all these systems they implemented in the Shadowlands. Now, I'm not going to blast them for this, but it's something that retroactively we probably should have noticed a long time ago. I'm surprised I didn't really talk about it too much, is that the reason they put all these systems in was because they ended up with World of Systemcraft, and every patch was a new system, right? In BFA, we had the essences come in, we had modifications to the Azerite armor come in, we had corruption come in. Every single major patch added some brand new system, and people were getting a little fed up that every time they took a break, they came back, the whole game seemed entirely different, and they had this brand new treadmill to run on. So it made sense, logical sense, that, hey, let's put all the systems in at the beginning of the game, and then people aren't going to be surprised when they come back in 9.3 for whatever reason and they stopped playing in 9.1, that there's a conduit system, that there's a legendary system, how that system works, how it functions, that I have to get soulbinds. All that stuff was in when they first started playing, and it shouldn't come as any shock that the same systems are in place in 9.3, but no new systems have been added because we smartly put all those systems in at the beginning of the expansion. It was bold, and it had errors, unquestionably. I was vocal about them. But one thing we didn't talk about, as I mentioned, is that the reason that so many systems came into BFA is because each system kind of failed. And that's not... The problem is now, Blizzard's like, oh, well, we've ended up with, like, so many systems. Let's put them in at the start. And now they really don't know what to do with them because each of the systems kind of is okay. Not great. They need iteration, like a little bit of iteration, but they're not making a brand new, spectacular, shiny toy. Now, two things came away from that. One, what the hell are we supposed to do with it? And they're kind of looking for players to suggest, what would you like us to do with this system? Because I imagine internally they're like, well, we can't just keep making new legendaries right now, because the legendary system is not the same as the Legion legendary system. For the most part, people are just wearing the one all the time. What's the best result we can have out of this until we can wear two legendaries, which will likely be 9.3 or 9.2, is that we make a new BIS one. They don't function the same as they did during Legion. Remember, Legion also featured a lot of gear swapping, so people were utilizing their legendaries in short-term bursts, rather than now, which is like you build up, you equip one. It also costs people a tremendous amount of gold to upgrade them. For the, for the vast majority of the player base, the 240k price tag that comes with a lot of these top-tier legendaries is nearly everything they've got, and I imagine quite a lot of people are farming endlessly just to do that. This is not that system where you just have your Lego in your bag and you can swap around and do whatever the hell you want with it. This is a case of you do something which people haven't been happy about, which is Torghast, gather all these soul ash and gold, and then you craft it. And people don't really want to do that, or my gut feeling is people don't want to do that over and over again. So making new legendaries is, what's the benefit? What's the result? People have to craft a new one because you made a brand new good one? That's not that appealing to a lot of people, I'd imagine. The same can be said, of course, for the soulbinds and the conduit system. I know for my character, I wear one potency conduit. That's it. The conduit system for me is equaled a singular conduit. That's it in my best soulbind. The soulbinds are essentially the same again, with my hunter at least basically utilizing one of the three. The other two might not have no real reason to exist. And then mix that in with the singular interesting conduit. These two systems have equated to very, very little practical application. Now, I'm not ignoring here. I'm not blind to the fact that the tedious conduit power system is affecting a niche of people. And I know a lot of people listening to this is like, I haven't even noticed it. That's because you're not in those niche of people. There are people who are utilizing their character for all different aspects of the game, and swapping conduits and swapping soulbinds and stuff is actually just a real tedious process, and they are running out of power. So Blizzard's asking, what would you like us to do with this system? Because we've made it, so what are we going to do? Change for the sake of change is kind of my fear with these systems right now. They're not broken. They're not perfect, but they're not broken, right? They're not broken like Azerite armor was broken, and people hated it and detested it and just rather it go away, or just be, as they eventually did, just make it something that I get my best one and ignore it. Thank God this system is now replaced with essences, which gives me a brand new focus, and I pick up all these essences, and I get new shiny spells, and I can work on different things. And then come with corruption and corruption vendors. These systems aren't going to work that way. These systems are already in place. I'm hoping that Blizzard doesn't feel the reason that they have to do something is because they made this system and it'll look bad on them if they don't do something. Because the fear is, of course, they're just going to fill these systems with just really tedious, pointless stuff. So what we might see is them falling back into some old habits. And Finn was right in bringing up the Netherlight Crucible, where they felt towards the end of the Legion expansion, it's like, well, we don't have anything new, let's come up with this thing. And then we looked at the Netherlight Crucible and we're like, well, great. Couldn't care less. This system is really annoying. And then start doing it with this. So they're just going to add in a bunch more potency conduits. Now, they did mention some separate conduits. And I have to wonder, because the obvious suggestion here with the conduits is to do spell augmentation, because that worked tremendously well for them in artifact weapons. And it was one of the greatest things when they unlocked the Mage Tower and gave us the extra tier of artifact weapons, is they gave us more spell augments. They changed how our spells work. Now, for me, that's something that fits really well into the conduit system. Because if you can start modifying your spells to work slightly differently, that would be really interesting to me on a content-by-content basis. If I could just swap some conduits so that I cleave a little bit more, I single target a little bit more, maybe I don't, and as a Frost Mage in Legion, the ability to, and now I know it's a talent, but I'm just saying, the ability that came with the artifact weapon to be able to instant cast Blizzard if my Frozen Orb was down, that was a really nice improvement. I liked that. And that would be something that could easily be applied to the Conduit and Soulbind system. Yet that doesn't seem to be on the table, and I wonder if they fear what happened with Legion is if they ultimately take these things away at the end of the Shadowlands, that players are going to be as pissed as they were coming out of Legion into BFA. Because Blizzard certainly have not forgotten that they probably need to be a little bit careful with how much stuff they give us if they're ultimately planning to take this stuff away, because players get pissed when they lose something. And as we know, taking a Legion character into BFA was one of the worst experiences Blizzard ever provided for its player base. So I wonder if that's the case as well. So rock and hard place right now for Blizzard is my second big takeaway from BlizzCon. They have all these systems. They're not perfect, but they're not completely broken and the player base doesn't hate them. What do we do with them now? Because we have them. Did we, and hopefully there's no regret there, it's like, did we really need all these systems in the first place? Because the honest answer is, no, not really. You didn't need all these systems. And you can't look at BFA as the prime example because you had to redesign the game every single patch. And it was really nice to see Ian say, actually, all our systems that we've put into the game and the zones are fine. And then that frees us up to build on the game, which is exactly why we are seeing good announcements like Korthian, Sanctum of Domination, and Tazavesh. They're completely free just to work on the game and expand it, which is what we saw in Legion and Mists of Pandaria, which turned out extremely good, especially about midway through. But in BFA, of course, they had to redesign the whole game from every single patch, which was never fun. Interested to see what your thoughts are. Blizzard is openly asking, and this is why I wanted to spend some time on this, Blizzard is openly asking players, what the hell should we do with these systems? What would be good? For me, spell augments would be the obvious choice. Conduits and soulbinds cannot overtake things like legendaries. That's really stupid. We don't want that to happen. But spell augments would be really, really nice. That would be very, very cool. I would definitely love to see that. I would like to see more interest into the legendary system. Right now, it's definitely a case for so many people. It's like, which one's my best one? I'm going to craft that and then forget the system exists entirely. And the only people making more are either collectors or people who play multiple specs where they're simultaneously just crafting their best one and calling it a GG. More interesting things would be great. Again, iteration over redesigning the wheel. We don't need that. And certainly what I don't want to see as a little finale here is my biggest fear is they do Netherlight Crucible the system, and the Soulbinds have 4 extra rows with random proc chances of stuff happening. Like Burrs for Naya, for example, is just like, hey, every time you hit it infects them with poison. Same with the conduits, right? Okay, we've got a new conduit now that does 0.5% more Fury generation on Vengeance Demon Hunter. Okay. Okay. Love to see your thoughts on it, guys. If you want some more details on BlizzCon, I didn't mention super details here for the pure reason is I don't think you guys are stupid. You know how to check this stuff, and we talked about it 2 days ago in the leak, and practically everything in the leak is exactly what we got at BlizzCon. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.